I had a different girl for every day of the week. I had to make up some days.
She's a cheap date.
At least he was back in 2005.
I'm sorry. If you see me doing like this later.
Michelle was actually trying to save me from one of the church hookers.
Let's get to that next question before we, so we can still have our marriage.
I give you the flower.
A lot of people don't believe in fairy tales, and a lot of people don't believe in a happy ever after. But being from the military, been married twice before, 2 failed marriages. I had given up on love. I had given up on a happily ever after. I had given up on the fact of finding a real queen. So I said, you know what? I'm going to just be a joker out here with a few chambermaids, and I'm going to be all right, because Atlanta had plenty.
Her brother introduced us because I saw her picture on Facebook and I said, who is this pretty light-skinned girl? At the time, I lived in Colorado and she was living in Jacksonville, Florida. And for me, that just seemed like the perfect relationship because I did not like to be involved with women that lived in the same state as I did. Just too much.
I don't think that's accurate, though.
Ladies first. We met in the cliche of church, as one would say. And my first and true and honest impression of this lovely gentleman was, oh, he's already married.
So at one point, I had a different girl for every day of the week. I had to make up some days. I had about it, and I was playing between them and everything, and had this place that opened on Sundays, 20 grand. And they would always talk about on the radio about the party, how the atmosphere was, and the good times and everything. And I had been in Atlanta for about 2 years, never been. Always listening. And this one Sunday, out of nowhere, I told my brother, I said, you know what? Let's go. I said, I'm tired of hearing it. Let's go. So went, threw on some clothes, went there. And when we got there, they was playing She's a Bad Mama Jack.
Well, we met, me and Michelle met in 2000, was it 2004, 2005. I had just moved back from California, and my dad became a pastor here in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And so I came back to help him out in the ministry. And Michelle, I think she visited the church one Sunday, and I was on the organ. And I think my eyes met her backside before I met her from the organ. I'm just going to keep it real. Now, that's just how it happened.
We met at church. We met at a step practice. I was helping with a step practice, and she wanted to be a part of it. So
It wasn't a practice. It was a workshop.
yeah, that too. Yes,
Right.
workshop. I'm sorry. It was a step workshop.
When we walked in, the song was playing, and I seen this young lady right here was dancing, leading the pack. When I said leading the pack, she was like Beyonce before Beyonce.
Oh,
She had all the backup dancers behind her. But when I say putting it down, she was putting it down.
So we met for the first time in middle school in 7th grade, I believe. I was a little girl, so I'm sure I was like, he an annoying boy. But he, let's see. We met in middle school, 7th grade, and first impressions, we were just friends then. So it was so long before we actually started dating that I don't really remember what the first impression was, but we were not anywhere near like trying to date each other. We just knew each other from middle school.
That's it. That's how it went.
And I told my brother, I said, see, there she is. I said, that's what I'm talking about. Finding somebody can actually dance instead of pelvic thrust, booty shaking and all that. I said, she dancing. I like that. I said, that's the finest woman up in here. I said, she is the finest woman up in here. So I said, man, I said, see, now I need something like that. That's what I need. So we go to the bar. See, that's when I was really pretty timid then. Head full of curly hair, not a slick, smooth scalp.
For me, first impression was, oh, she got a nice smile. I like her. But then I was told not to talk to her
By your father.
by my dad.
Yeah, that's how it went. We went to middle school together, and we met. I forgot it's like Kiki said, probably 7th grade, and then we known each other ever since. We went to opposite high schools,
Mm-hmm.
and then we met back up in college.
In college, yeah.
Yep.
And still didn't date.
Still didn't date, yep.
Yeah.
On the way to the bathroom, a young lady hemmed me up at the door. She said, oh, I seen you walk in here. I'm going home with you tonight. My boyfriend at work, he don't get off to 6:30. It's going down. I was like, okay, you take me home. I don't care. So we go back to the table go back where my brother was. I said, man, look, I already done got a fish on the line. I said, we good now. So at this point, I noticed this young lady here move across the room and went right over there and sat down next to the club favorite. That's what I'm going to call her. I don't like disrespect women. I'm going to call her the club favorite.
She was a coworker.
Right, so it was the first ever summer step workshop at our church. I say first ever because they've done a few more years since then, but it was the summer of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the people helping with the workshop. He'd been going to our church. I started there that January. He'd been going there for years and had been part of the step team. And I was actually studying for the bar exam that summer, and I just needed something different to do. And I was like, okay, step for Jesus. That sounds good. So I signed up, went, and that was the first day we met. We met there, but it wasn't like we met with that intention. We met for that purpose, for the step workshop.
Walks over there, and as in the process, get over, got a drink in my hand and everything. Some guy comes out of nowhere. Is filling her up. Handful of breasts. He was working.
Not me.
Not Tanya, but the other girl. I was like, yeah, she the club favorite. She for everybody. And at this time, I walked back, and I was like, you know what? I said, man, now I'm going to look like a fool. I done walked all the way across and everybody looking. So Tanya came back, and I said, hey, can you do me a favor? I said, I don't want to look like a fool because I walked back. I said, could you just walk with me toward the dance floor, and then you can turn around, and that way we can play it off. And she said, you know what? Come on, I'll dance with you. I was like, uh-oh. I just like, okay. Went out there. We started dancing.
I never seen Michelle before, I've never heard about her in the streets, thank God, and I'm like, who's this chick? She cute, slim, got a nice body. Yeah, so I'm on the Oregon that day for all the wrong reasons. I don't think I heard what one word preached that day, but Michelle she came to church, and the rest is history.
And we was doing pretty good out there together. Then here come the club favorite behind me. So I guess she was trying to mark a territory. So she started filling me up like the guy was filling her up. So then, show you how I believe in God intervention. God intervention stepped in. They started playing Carlos Santana, Maria Maria. That's our theme song. That's our song that tied it all up. And everybody got off the dance floor except for me and her. And I was like, can you salsa? She said, can you salsa? I was like, yes, because I love to dance. And we put on a show for everybody.
Because her last name is Williams. And my family's last name is Williams as well. So they thought that because, not just that, my dad knew Kwanda from Kwanda was around 6 years old. So she was like family to him. And for that reason alone, she was like, do not talk to this girl if you go mess around with this girl.
basically, if she's not your wife, leave her alone.
Leave her alone.
Listen, I'm going to give you my resume real quick before we get off this dance floor. I said, I'm potty trained, I'm housebroken, and everything. I don't pee on the car. I said, so, you can give me your number and, and I can tell you more about myself later, whatever. She said, well, I'll give it to you. So she gave me her number. She gave me a number, and I can't remember if she wrote it down, I wrote it down, but either way, I got the number mixed up.
I think I saw you on Facebook. I thought he was a relative because I have a sister-in-law who has the same last name, and he popped up under like friends you may know, and I think I added him.
Mhm.
Then maybe you started checking me out. I don't know, but the last name matched, so I thought he was somehow related.
Okay. All right, we can go with that.
He was being a little corny, like saying stuff at church, trying to get my attention, and yeah, he was being kind of corny, and after that we just became like the best of friends. Like he was cool, he was a real cool guy, and we just started hanging out and chilling as friends. And like I say, he was trying a little hard at church.
Whatever. If that's your story and you sticking to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, my impression of him in the beginning, I wasn't even looking at anyone that way, because I was actually there celebrating my divorce, because the next day the papers were finalized. I was picking those up from the courthouse from my first husband.
What were your first impressions
Of you?
Yeah.
Just like an angel, just an angel coming down from heaven. It was like, oh my God.
He's dramatic. So yeah, that's pretty much how we, I guess, first connected, was through Facebook, actually. And this was a long time ago. It was through Facebook. And then I was just visiting my brother in Ohio for Thanksgiving, and Ron should have been there for Thanksgiving. And at that point, we hadn't really talked, but I was at the house cooking, and he asked my brother if he could talk to me on the phone. So that's when we first talked.
Yes.
Was right around Thanksgiving.
And
yeah,
just to give context, her brother is my best friend. I don't know if I'm her brother's best friend, but he's my best friend. And
they've been best friends for what, 40 years?
Yeah, pretty much.
40 years. So yeah.
So the next day, I called a number. Wrong number. So I was like, oh my God, I done let all these women go. I said, I done got cussed out. I said, and she gave me the wrong number.
I really didn't have a first impression because, like she said, that wasn't our focus for being there. We were just there to be part of a workshop. So I really didn't have a first impression of her. She was just one of the people that came to learn.
Yeah, I can't say he's a good stepper. At least he was back in 2005. So it's been a few. It's been a few years.
So I didn't throw the number away, and for some reason I kept it. 5 days later, we go to a female friend of our house, and my brother's telling the story.
But my first impressions, a little bit different. You guys don't know, we have an age difference. Ron's 16 years older than me. This kind of runs in the family because my dad was a lot older than my mom. So it was different because he was older than me at the time. So my impression, you were an angel.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it right there.
No, he was extremely kind. Businessman, loved to work. He still loves to work. Yeah, so he was overall a good guy.
Okay, let's get to that next question before we, so we can still have our marriage.
And I still had it. I still had the paper, not the same clothes, but I just held on to it. She said, "Let me see, I still got it." And I looked, and I was calling a number. She said, "That's not a 9, that's a 7." I was like, "What?" She said, "Yeah, that's a 7." I called the number, and Tanya answered the phone.
My sister-in-law was there. She did not know that I had another brother, and my dad introduced her as my sister-in-law. So she's just meeting me, so she thought she was my wife.
Yeah.
But it was actually just my sister-in-law.
So basically, there was no, ooh, I like him at first meet.
So when I met him, I'm just dancing. This is a fun night. We're dancing. He was real nice. Visually, first impression was I don't like his shoes. I didn't like them pants he had on. It just looked like I don't know. He wasn't dressed. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm looking at the clothes. I'm looking at you from head to toe. He was handsome, very friendly, very sweet, very approachable. You know, like I didn't feel like he's a problem or he's gonna be a stalker once we get off the dance floor, which was a good thing. I did give him the right number. I wasn't really expecting a phone call, because people ask for numbers all the time. And when he did call me, it was, hey, you want to come over and I cook for you? I'm not going no stranger house. That's not happening. So if we gonna go out to eat. But my first impression of him was really like take it as I see it, and he ended up being a sweet person.
So my impression was he was part of the step team. I didn't really, it was a lot of people there. I didn't really go with the intention of meeting him. Yeah. I didn't even know him. He could talk about what his first impression was, but we actually ended up making a lot of friendships that summer. And in that workshop, there's people that I'm still friends with to this day. And obviously this relationship was a big part of what came out of that workshop.
She thought I had played her to the left because I said I was going to call her. 5 days done passed. But I'm going to show you how God is. And I tell people all the time, what's meant for you is for you. God is on point. I could have easily threw that piece of paper in the trash. And we would never have what we had. But God stood on what he said he's going to do. He'll give you your heart's desire.
We had like 2 first dates. One of them, we hung out with friends. We went out to eat, and I kissed him. I gave him a little friendly kiss, and I went home because we were all, after we went out on our date, we went back to our mutual friend's house. So I don't know if that was considered a date, but then the second one was like a Valentine's weekend when you had the accident.
Yeah, I was in a car accident.
He didn't want to be home by himself, so he took me out, and we went out to eat into the movies and hung out.
Yeah, Michelle was actually trying to save me from one of the church hookers.
What was the first date? The ice cream? So when we first got together, this lovely gentleman
was broke,
no income, not a penny to his name. However,
not a one.
Our first official date was going to
YOLO.
No,
before YOLO.
We went to Cold Stone for ice cream.
Yep.
I had to leave my home, pick him up, and we went out and had ice cream for a few hours, and then I dropped him back home. And it was a good time, surprisingly.
It was a good time. She's a cheap date.
Our first date, actually the first time we went out together, I was crossing over into a fraternity called the International Christian Brotherhood, and I invited her along.
He's considering that a date. Listen to him.
It wasn't a date. It was just our first going anywhere together. And the church had a lot of functions, and I just figured it was something that she would enjoy. So I invited her to come along.
Our first date started with vegan tacos, per se. I was invited over to her aunt's house. Her aunt was trying to connect us together in a relationship. So I got invited over to a taco party at her aunt's house, but I wound up having to work. So I didn't go. My mom went. So my mom went over there and everything. And so Kiki fixed me a plate of tacos. So my mom was like, yeah, she sent you a plate, so when you get home, you'll have some food. I was like, okay, cool. Kiki had put everything in there. Everything that you could have with a taco, but the meat.
No meat.
Our first date was in Jacksonville. Actually, we met in Jacksonville. We're not going to share that story on first. We're not going to share that story. But we had our first official date in Savannah, Georgia. We went to Lady and Sons, Paula Dean's restaurant. I love, I'm from the South, love Southern food. Went there, and then we went to Amelia Island, just kind of walked around the beach. Yeah, so he came to visit me in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And
did we jump out of the plane then?
No, we didn't jump out of the plane. Then our second date, we actually went skydiving. So he visited maybe a couple of days, and then maybe a few weeks later he came back and we went skydiving from 15,000 feet out of Cape Canaveral.
Yes.
Yeah, I won't tell you how that
It was
how that
It was a fun date, though.
It was a fun date, but the date wasn't meant for him initially.
So that's true. So we met that summer of 2005, right? So his crossover was January 2006. So a lot of stuff happened in between there. And he did invite me to come, and I thought that was sweet. I thought that was, kind. I don't consider, and as he said, it's not a first date. So I don't think he considers it a first date. I don't consider it a first date, but it was like the first he invited me to go somewhere with him. In between that summer of 2005 and then that January of 2006, what happened after the Summer Step Workshop is we kept bumping into each other.
We kept running into each other at various functions and various events. We would just keep seeing each other.
Yeah. Our first date was at Bible study, and it was, what was the name? Solid Rock Church over in East Point, which was around the corner from where he lived. And that was our first date. We went there. Then, of course, we had to eat afterwards. Because if he was with me, he's going to have to feed me. But it was church. We actually went to church. It was a Wednesday, right? Yes. Wednesday Bible study.
Bread, sour cream, cheese, tomatoes, lettuce, almonds, peppers, onions, whatever you can think of. It was on that plate, but the meat.
And my mama's Mexican lasagna.
And Kiki's mama's Mexican lasagna. And so I didn't get no tacos that day. So we wound up having. I told her, she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and we wound up. I asked for another Mexican lasagna from her mom, and her mom made it. We met. We was at church, I think, after Bible study. She gave me the food after Bible study at church, and I asked her on our first date. So our unofficial first date started with vegan tacos, and our official first date, honestly, I can't remember.
I remember.
Okay, well, you can tell us.
We went bowling. We went to the bowling alley.
Okay, we went bowling. There it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you see me doing like this later, you're supposed to remember that bowling alley.
There was a time where I was coming back home on the train from a job interview, and I look up and he happened to be on the train also. And I remember he had walked me home that day. He was on his way to the church. So my house was in between coming from the train station on the way to the church. And so he had walked me home that day. And then just other events at the church. I can't remember specifics, but they would have a lot of different mixers and functions. And then just good old Sunday, like after service, everybody want to hang out. And, there was a restaurant there and just different things we would do. And we started, hanging out with mutual friends.
Why would you say that?
It's true, though.
Yeah, we had good conversations that night.
Yeah, and she didn't pay attention to the fact that I was fresh out the pack, freshly coming from Jamaica, and not having a penny to my name, sleeping on my dad's couch.
Yep.
She was on him, like she was trying to get him to come lay in her bed because he had just been in an accident.
I was on my way to church. I was just left the radio station that Sunday morning. On my way to church, I got hit a patch of black ice and hit a pole, and I went to the hospital and all that, and I still was able to make it to the church house. Thank the Lord. And then so after church, the church chick came up to me, wanted me to come lay in her bed, but I didn't want to do that. Michelle was like, we gonna hang out, because I didn't want to go home by myself and fall asleep, because I had heard all the don't go to sleep or you may not wake up and all that stuff. So but yeah, that was me and Michelle went and hung out that day, and I think I think that was like our official kind of first date outside of being friends. Yeah.
And so at the end of that workshop, remember, we had a list.
Yeah, we had a list. Everybody had their name on a list and emails, addresses, so that we all can stay in contact with each other.
Right. So, and we never initially we didn't use that, but then we kept bumping into each other. I think on the train, it was a couple times.
Yeah, we ran into each other.
It wasn't just that time when he walked me home. I think that might have been like the third time or something. But then after that, we started using, like, calling each other from the list, and things just kind of grew from there. We had long conversations.
Let's just say it like this: we actually went through the 5 stages of relationship. We did the introduction, we did the acquaintance, we did the friendship, and then we moved on to the fellowship part. Yeah. That's where things really started to change for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that the skydiving date wasn't meant for Ron.
It was meant for some other person.
It was non-refundable.
Yeah.
So, he happened to be up next.
It was a person that was to the left of the decimal place, meaning they have no significant value.
Oh my gosh. These corny lines.
They're the truth. They're the truth.
But yeah, so we went skydiving. But yeah, our first date was Paula Dean's Savannah and Amelia Island.
I do want to add that, do you remember that lady that was sitting behind us and tapped us on the shoulder?
Yes.
And she said, I just want to say, y'all spirits are so beautiful together. I just remember that.
Yes.
At church that day.
That moment, we went there. So God was just doing what he do. God was doing what he do. And that lady, we didn't know her. First time Tanya been there. I've been there before. Never met this lady, but she tapped us and made that comment.
Yeah.
And that was confirmation that God was there. So
our dates, because we tended to go out with other couples, were at like the Thai restaurants that we like, Joya and C Thai restaurant. Those were the spots that I know we would hit on special occasions, and then we would kind of house hop on Sundays or even in the week, either after church they'd be over my house, or we would go to mutual friends' house, and we did a lot of that and had movie nights and stuff. To the point sometimes we all stayed over so late when we would sleep on the floor. We fell asleep on the floor at our friend's house many a time when we would have movie nights. So that was kind of the low key stuff.
Yeah, we did a lot of group stuff together.
Yeah.
But that's how basically we got to know each other in a group setting.
Yeah. Yep.
We got together and we just went to the bowling alley, just a local bowling alley in our area. Actually, Jazz was with us. Your cousin Jazz came with us. So we had a first date that had another person with us too. So, but we just hung out, got to know each other. It was weird because we'd known each other for years, but only really as associates. So we didn't know a whole lot about each other. So we spent a lot of that date just talking, getting to know one another, and bowling, which we both love to do. That's when I found out he had a really, really heavy hand, which kind of scared me a little bit because I thought he was going to break the bowling alley, but he didn't. And we got to know each other. And every date there on after was just us getting to know each other better. It was crazy that we can know each other that long, but not really know each other. So yeah, it was fun.
How we became official couple is, first I asked her brother, my best friend, if it was okay to date his sister. And he assured me it was okay because he knew that she could handle herself and she's probably stronger than me, which is probably all true. But once I got his permission, I felt comfortable. And since then, he doesn't want to know anything about our relationship at all, just knows that we love each other.
I'm gonna answer that question.
Go ahead. I want to hear this answer.
The reason I'm gonna answer this question is because he tried to play hard, and even though he was pursuing me, he was playing hard. I guess he was like, well, I'm gonna fight for this or whatever, because really my original attitude was like, yeah, whatever. We talked. I did like him. We talked for hours, but do know that after we didn't go on our official first date until months later.
See, that was the thing. And that's still the thing with Alan. I'm so straight up and upfront. Like, I think, but I don't remember the details of the conversation, but I think it got to that point of, mind you, this was some years ago, but I still think we were mature enough where it's like, we're not going to do this high school, college type of thing where we're just going to roll into a relationship. And I think it got to the point where I did say, like, so what is this leading to? Where are we going? Is this something that we are pursuing? Because I was in this like gray area. I wasn't sure which way we were going because we definitely had a friendship.
Oh, I think you actually did say to me, do you want to be my girlfriend at some point?
Yeah.
She
couldn't resist it, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just play.
You ain't playing. No, I remember we had started that like dating around like January, right when I got out of college. Mm-hmm. And somewhere around March is when I remember him saying, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact words, but it was cute. It was real, like official, old school kind of, hey, can you officially be my girl?
Yeah.
So we got to know each other, verbally. And one thing that he said not to do is we're not going to talk about our past right away. In other words, don't talk about your past, meaning, of course you want to know about the person, but don't tell me what you don't like. Don't tell me what you do like, because I want to be the man that I am without you feeling like I'm just giving you my representative versus being original and genuine of who I am. So I can make a decision or a choice. And he always did leave it up to me to make a decision. Okay.
Let me tell this one. So we hung out all the time, and Andre, like, he liked me. He really, really was digging me. And so one day we was at my house watching movies, and he decided to give me a massage. And the massage led from one thing to another, and afterwards he was like, we go together.
Yeah, that fornication led to we go together.
He was like, we go together. We are together now.
Yep, that's how it happened.
I remember it was March around my birthday.
Yeah, March of 2006. Yeah. And I know
we
it was
were
March.
talking, and we were like, well, where is this going? Mm-hmm. What's the future here?
Who initiated that, though?
You did.
Yeah, of course. So
you did.
And so it wasn't like the thing with Alan, and I don't know how, we haven't really shared a lot of this on our socials, but and I've come to understand more over the years, but definitely back then it's like, okay, is this a new relationship or what? What are we doing?
So Pretty Timmy had about 8 pieces of luggage. She had a piece of luggage too that was trying to pursue her. And I'm going to show you how.
But then that's not luggage though.
He was luggage, baby.
No.
He was luggage.
No.
But I'm going to show you how Pretty Timmy moved. Because when I get in king mode, you got to get up early in the morning out king. So Tanya came to see me one time. This was later on before we made ourselves to be just friends. Tanya came to see me and everything. And I looked at her car. I said, hey, baby. I said, look here. You got cords showing on your tires. I said, you need to talk to that buddy that's skinning and grinning at you and everything. And you need to tell him he need to put some tires in your car. You living in Atlanta, driving around with them tires, will get you killed and everything. And she went back to him and mentioned it. And he said, "Oh yeah, you make good money and everything. All you got to do is just buy one tire at a time, And then just." And I was like, So she told me, and really, what I did was I set him up. I'm gonna just be honest. I set him up because I already know he was lacking because she was talking to me on the phone.
So,
And that happened maybe a month or so after we,
yes,
probably about a month or so after we met. And then we dated for what, 2 years or so?
Well,
a year?
I came to Ohio.
Year and a half.
Mhm.
And then he proposed by letter. He he wrote it down and gave it to the boys to give to me, and that's how that happened. But I guess things kind of happened pretty quickly. We were long distance there for a little bit, and then just connected here in Ohio.
Well, in true millennials fashion, we was on the phone one late night. It was probably like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we both was like, I think we should change our Facebook statuses
That's all it
to
was.
in a relationship and change our profile pictures to a picture of us together. So at 3 a.m. on the phone, that's what we did.
We made it official.
To officially say we're together to the whole Facebook world.
When I set him up, he fell for the trap. And I pounced on him. I choked him out. I said, "Oh, come on over here. Take your car to Firestone. I have them waiting on you. They're going to put you 4 brand new tires on your car. Can't have you riding around and take a chance on me losing out."
I share this with you, and this is 100% the truth. My wife, who I love very much, won $50,000 on a scratch-off lottery ticket. And it just so happens at that moment, I decided that we needed to take our relationship to the next level.
Yes, he did.
And that is the God's
Did you
honest
give me
truth.
a ring with that money?
Yes. Well,
Did you?
No, I didn't get you the ring with that money. But the ring, so I went to Jared's and I bought a ring. And the ring just wasn't set.
You didn't get it from Jared's.
No, I did. But then I returned that ring. And then my cousin, Donna Lee, who's like my sister, she was in Afghanistan.
He's long-winded.
I'm very long-winded. Sorry. And I got her to buy me a diamond from Afghanistan. We got it back to the United States, and then I bought the setting from a local jeweler. So she has a big diamond that.
So he used my winnings to buy my ring.
I don't recall it like that.
And like Alan was scarred from being previously married. And with that, he had a lot of hesitation about relationships. But you can talk more to that than I can. So, but I figured over time, not that I pushed him too hard, but I figured over time what the gray area was all about.
Yeah. I mean, I had to make a decision about where we were going because I'd moved to the next point. The relationship, I moved to the next progression, which was basically you were in that intimate place in my life where I can share certain things with you. So I had to make a decision. Well, are we going to pursue this or take it the next step, or we going to go our separate ways? So that's where it ended up.
Yeah.
And he paid my cell phone bill for all those long conversations we had.
Yes.
So but basically, TJ was basically saying, I am the chosen one. So just get with me, drop that 0, get with a hero, and it's just not, it wasn't anything that I didn't know of what I should have. It was just that from my past, I just didn't want to make it that easy to just say, okay, I'm your girlfriend. It was, I had gotten to a phase because the Lord has shown me before in my previous marriage, as well as previous relationships, that, a man findeth the good woman. So I don't need to be let him pursue me. And I make the decision. And so one of the things was how he was behaving, and that's what he was doing. And that's the reason why I chose him.
Yes.
Here we are today.
No one makes me feel the way